Hello, everybody. This is Secular Sekai with Tridents Against Tyrants, and I hope that everybody has had a good start to their weekend so far. I know my week was incredibly busy. So, oh shoot, got a slight typo here. Let's see if I can fix that real fast. Yeah, that'll work. Anyway, so as you can see, I have a message scrolling at the bottom here. Oh hey, Project Constantine. I'm assuming probably Yana, but yeah, Pete or Yana or whoever might be on the Project Constantine account right now. Yeah, welcome. Good to see you. Anyway, as you can see, I have a message scrolling here at the bottom. And I want to address this right quick before we jump into news and everything else for this week, because there's a lot of stuff to cover. I actually have more news this week than usual, and a bit more preparation ahead of time for current events as far as news articles go, which is nice. So basically, as you all may be aware, Buy Me a Coffee, we had set up a new system where we had one that was specifically for assisting soldiers that went to good friend and partner of the channel, Anton, who lives in Ukraine and therefore has a Ukrainian bank account, and therefore when he gets money directly, it's a lot easier to move it around, get it to monobank jars, etc., without drama from banks freaking out about trying to transfer things to Ukrainian monobank jars, because unfortunately that can be a thing with foreign accounts. Well, here's the thing. There's been no issue with any other Ukrainian I'm aware of who uses Buy Me a Coffee. Rick the Ukrainian never has had an issue with Buy Me a Coffee. I am outside of Ukraine, but I've never had an issue with it. For some reason, Anton's account still has not been cleared. And so that's the yellow Buy Me a Coffee account that we had discussed before. And we're working on getting it cleared. Hopefully by next week we'll have some word back. In the meantime, just because I want to keep it all consistent and avoid any confusion, and make sure we don't end up with extra funds that are like trapped anywhere on, Buy Me a Coffee. To neither the yellow one for Anton or the blue one for the channel itself, I'll just ask that everybody not donate to Buy Me a Coffee until we have all of that sorted out and fixed. And so for right now, if you wish to donate to assist with our fundraiser for the 110th Mechanized Brigade, serving still in the Avdiivka direction, then please feel free to do so via either PayPal or Monobank. And as you can see, we also have the current percentage. We are at 24,235.45 hryvnia of 1,936,000 being the remaining goal after the others we have purchased so far. So we're still working our way toward funding the rest of those 110 FPV drones. And in fact, I may have... Oh, actually, hold on. Let me check something. Yes, perfect. I may have a video update for you guys from the 110th Mechanized Brigade that we'll go over later today. That video update will be in Ukrainian. I don't think it has subtitles, but it'll still be pretty good. I think you'll like it when you see it. For right now, thanks for your patience while I was getting everything set up. And we're going to go ahead and get started and jump right into the news. You will notice also Nightbot assisting with stuff in the chat, so you may see a few posts every couple of minutes from Nightbot. And we have the wonderful CF Beauty from the show's joining us today, helping out a little bit with moderating. So welcome, and thank you for being here. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the news. So as usual, I'll go ahead and put the article in the description and the chat. So let me do that real fast. All right, and that should be posted now. So let me get this open for you all to, for you guys to see. All right, and we'll take down the progress bar for right now. So, to begin, yeah, we'll leave the owl off for right now. From CNN, Sweden officially joined NATO on Thursday after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Oh, well, article title is Sweden officially joins NATO, becoming alliance's 32nd member. Sweden officially joined NATO on Thursday after Russia's invasion of Ukraine spurred it to rethink its defense policy and abandon its long-held position of neutrality, which, you know, it really, reading that opening paragraph just makes me think of how they are completely, absolutely different, but just that stance of varying degrees of neutrality alone probably makes half the people reading this confuse Sweden with Switzerland. Anyway, Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson formally handed over accession documents to the U.S. State Department in Washington, D.C., the final step of a months-long process to gain the approval of all members to allow his country to become the alliance's 32nd member. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken received the documents, which he said were the product of nearly 2 years of tireless diplomacy by NATO members. Which, when you think about it, to get into NATO, that sounds like a long time, and that is the length of this war. But for NATO accession, that really is light speed. So, pretty impressive. Yeah. All right. The documents are put into a vault at the State Department, which serves as the treaty depository for NATO. Sweden joining NATO was scarcely conceivable a little more than 2 years ago. The country remained neutral in both world wars, but when Russian troops began marching toward Kiev in February 2022, Sweden and its Nordic neighbor Finland became alert to the threat Moscow could pose to nearby countries outside the alliance. Finland, which shares a 1,300-kilometer or 830-mile border with Russia, officially joined in April 2023, more than doubling NATO's border with Russia in a blow to President Vladimir Putin, who has sought to stem any growth of the alliance. And let's not forget, it's not just stemming the growth of the alliance. When you see things such as individuals like Viktor Orbán, or in Hungary, or Donald Trump in the United States, who make statements that are very anti-EU and even anti-NATO, it is worrisome, and we need to make sure that political infiltration does not result in any nations, attempting to leave the alliance or something. We already saw the UK leave the EU through Brexit, so that's just one example. That's a soft example, everybody. Imagine the same thing happening with major defense contributors to NATO. We cannot allow that to happen. If you step back and think of where we were 3 years ago, none of this was foreordained, and in fact, none of this was foreseeable, Blinken said. Blinken noted Sweden's 200-year-old policy of non-alignment, which stretches back to the Napoleonic Wars and the Swedish population's lack of appetite to join the alliance before Russia's invasion. Then everything changed, he said. I'm going to bite my tongue, but that one line right there reminds me of a particular line from something that I can recall. from childhood. U.S. President Joe Biden heralded Sweden's accession, which he said made the bloc more united, determined, and dynamic than ever, and able to stand for freedom and democracy for generations to come. The move came just hours before Biden is set to deliver his State of the Union address, in which he is expected to draw a sharp contrast between his stance on issues of democracy and key alliances like NATO and that of his predecessor Donald Trump. Kristersson will be a guest of the First Lady at the address. Let's see. Still a bit more to go with this. So, let's see. Well, we've got quite a few articles to go through, so I may allow the rest of you to finish reading this in your own time if you're interested. But suffice it to say, Sweden is now officially, I believe yesterday was another one of the official dates of accession. Sweden is in NATO. No more, pussyfooting around, no more beating around the bush. It's done. So Finland, Sweden, both of you, all of the Nordic countries are in NATO. Welcome to NATO. And next, we will push to make it a reality that Ukraine joins NATO as well. Because if anyone has earned that right in all of Europe, it damn well is Ukrainians. Now then, moving on to the next news. Some exciting news that I think several of you who follow along with news from the shills might actually find quite enjoyable or quite nice to know about. And let me go ahead and... Oh, hold on. Oop. This is not displaying correctly. One sec, let me check on this. Okay, there it goes. I don't know why it was glitching for a moment. Let me put it into the chat first. Oh, and no more of Turkey having the leverage to block them from NATO? This is true, this is true. So now Turkey doesn't have that blackmail to hold over people's head. They do still have other international diplomatic moves that they could make, but yeah, Turkey is not in as much of a position of strength as they would like people to think. All right, so there it is in the chat, and let me put it in the description. All right, there we go. Now, next piece of news is Canada joins drone coalition. Flags of Ukraine and Canada, both flying together. And this is, again, from Militarny, which is a Ukrainian military news website, and one that I have found to be rather reliable as a source for information on certain topics. So, Canada will become the 9th country to join the drone coalition, which aims to provide the Ukrainian Defense Forces with many drones. Much love to Canada. The press service of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine reported on this. Canada's accession to the coalition was announced during the visit of Latvian Defense Minister Andris Spruds to Ottawa on March 7th, 2024. Only 2 days ago, everybody. Oh! Yeah, Turkey did a whole campaign to get people to call them Turkiye, and you still call them Turkey. Gobble, gobble. Okay, let me say this. There are many people who I do like and respect from Turkiye, but when I see headlines and articles, and I've seen a couple here recently about, for example, I believe it was a female lawyer in Turkey who refused to wear a headscarf and basically just outright said, fuck Sharia. And I mean, that was literally the wording that she used. She just said, fuck Sharia. to some of the more religiously fundamentalist organizations and political movements in Turkey right now at this time. And she gets arrested just for that because of, quote, enmity against Islam. When I see a breakdown of secularization, when I see a lot of the far-right, hyper-conservative moves of the AKP Erdogan administration in Turkey, I feel inclined to say Turkey instead of Turkey. I will change how I refer to it when I feel that the governance there earns my respect enough to do so. I can't wait until November. Anyway, for multiple reasons. All right, now then. Oh, the link works well. Okay, very good. Thank you for confirming that, CF Beauty. Shoot. I think Nightbot is covering all of the links that I want it to, but we'll see as the stream goes on. And in any case, all right. We thank Canada for its unwavering support of Ukraine. The expansion of the drone coalition will help us solve our tasks on the battlefield. We continue to encourage our partners to join the drone coalition. Our aim remains unchanged to raise $1.5 billion. Doesn't specify if that's Canadian or US, but regardless, $1.5 billion to finance Ukrainian drone production, said Deputy Ministry of Defense Katerina Chernohorenko. The drone coalition was officially launched within the framework of the Contact Group on Ukraine's defense. Ukrainian company producing Shrike drones for the Ukraine Defense Forces, February of 2024. That is actually quite a good photo. Props to the photographer who took that. The coalition was already joined by the United Kingdom, Denmark, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, the Netherlands, Germany, and Sweden. Militarny previously reported that during the visit to Kiev, UK Defence Secretary Grant Shapps announced the allocation of 325 million British pounds for purchasing more than 10,000 drones for the armed forces of Ukraine. Shapps said that the UK is allocating 325 million pounds, which is 125 million more than the amount previously announced to supply more than 10,000 drones, the majority of which are first-person view or FPV drones. Those are the same ones that we are fundraising for. Quick reminder. And if you would like to contribute to that, there's a link in the description. And also, you'll see one for the 110th Brigade PayPal donations posted by Nightbot in the chat. All right, now then, 1,000 one-way attack drones as well as surveillance and maritime drones. Militarny reported on February 18th that the UK was working with partner nations, in particular the United States, to provide Ukraine with thousands of new AI-enabled drones. So, we've already known this, but more and more so now, the age of AI-driven warfare is upon us, everyone. So, that's fun. Not really. New innovations in warfare are horrible, but I suppose a necessary evil, one might say. Ooh, and this is a Ukrainian Shulika MK6 drone from the company Skylab UA. Ooh, this that you see on the screen right now, this drone, I actually, before I ever started this YouTube channel, I think before I ever even got in contact with Rick and Dick over on the Shills, I was already doing drone fundraisers. I was helping a few people who I knew from various universities and other pro-Ukrainian organizations around North America who I'm familiar with. And one particular unit who, I won't say exactly which one, but another unit I had helped in the past with a major drone fundraiser. This was one model that we were mulling over whether or not we would fundraise for it. We wound up going with a different domestic Ukrainian company that produced a slightly larger drone. Cost a little bit more, but yeah, Skylab is pretty cool. I've been wanting to if I could get my hands on one of these just to see how it ticks, I would be so happy. So shout out to Skylab. Ooh, Johnny over at ATP Geopolitics. He did a video on Ukrainian drone manufacturers. Okay, I'll have to go check that out. The other day, I was actually seeing a video from who was it? I think it was Niels Anders. Oh, wait, is it Peterson? Is that his last name? Hold on. Now I have to double check because I'm questioning my own sanity. Hold on. I had that completely backwards. Anders Puck Nielsen. For anyone who's unfamiliar, he is a Danish military analyst and academic. He has put out some pretty good work regarding various conflicts, especially a focus on the war in Ukraine. And I was actually listening to a video of his the other day about information warfare and ways to more efficiently disrupt the Kremlin, the Russian Federation, the government there, the authoritarian dictatorship, and their grip, their monopoly on information for Russians. So, yeah, fantastic. I'll have to go check out Johnny's video on drone manufacturers as well. Thank you. Oh, not that Johnny? Oh, I'm so sorry. Johnny Harris. Oh, okay. My bad. I'm sorry. I got the Johnnies mixed up, guys. Okay, yeah, if you send me the link, then I'd love to check that out. Which makes me realize I also don't remember Johnny's last name from ATP Geopolitics. If you hear this, Johnny, I'm very sorry. I really do love your content, though. Just want you to know that. Yep, Turkey can get called Turkiye once they earn it. Same reason we don't call Muscovy or Muscovia with a capital R. Exactly. Whenever they earn it and they actually overthrow this horrible government, then Moscovia can maybe get back that capital R, and, eventually something could change, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. Same thing with Turkey. With Turkey. I will change that the moment that Erdogan is gone and we see some actual free and fair elections in Turkey. Now then. Where was I? Western military planners developing the technology believe it could allow Ukraine to overwhelm certain Russian positions with unmanned vehicles. Militarny previously reported that NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg stated that Western allies plan to supply Ukraine with 1 million drones by 2024. Well, it is 2024 now, so I hope those 1 million drones make it there within 9 months, because that's the ticking clock that you've got to fulfill that promise, Stoltenberg, and I sincerely hope that you do. The purpose of this association is to provide the armed forces of Ukraine with a large number of drones for various purposes. And that's the end of this article. So, very good news. Props to Canada. Thank you very much. And, the free world appreciates it. Now then, let's keep going. Next piece of news that I've got. This one's going to be more directly related to, not really the front lines, but to the war itself. Let me get the article up and put it in the chat for you guys. One sec. Okay, and we're back. And I have got to remember to say thank you a million more times for the recommendation I received for this audio console, because it makes my life so much easier. Now then. All right, also from Militarny, this is dozens of UAVs attacked an aircraft factory in Taganrog. March 9th, 2024. A-50U AEWNC. Aircraft modernized at the... Oh, this is for a photo that's not visible, so we will skip that. In Taganrog, Moscovia, a large number of drones attacked an aircraft factory that manufactures aircraft for the military. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed the use of at least 41 drones, as the governor of the Rostov region, Vasily Golubev, said. As a result of the attack, an employee of the Ministry of Emergency Situations was injured, who was engaged in eliminating the consequences of a drone raid in Taganrog. Wow. So an employee was injured who was engaged in eliminating the consequences of a drone raid. Hold on. Oh, okay, so this was someone, I guess, who was... I misunderstood that paragraph for a second, so, okay, just an employee who was probably trying to put out fires or something. What are the consequences, Golubev said, did not disclose. A possible object of the attack in Taganrog could be an aviation enterprise, which is part of the Beriev Scientific and Technical Complex. Ooh, interesting. I'm not going to play it just because... don't know about copyright for videos with Militarny, but it looks like they have a YouTube channel, which is pretty interesting. I'll have to go take a look at that later. Residents of the city previously reported the sounds of explosions and problems with electricity during the operation of air defense. People heard at least 5 explosions. According to eyewitnesses, drones flew from the sea. Beriev aircraft factory, among other things, is engaged in the repair and modernization of A-50 aircraft. So remember all those A-50s, those extremely expensive, like $300 million US planes that take a long time to build and are expensive to repair. So this is a factory that was engaged in assisting with that. So first you're taking out the very few existing ones that Moscovia has, and then you go after the factories that actually can repair the ones that have been damaged. So smart, very smart. The Speaker of the Ukrainian Volunteer Army, South, Chairman of the Public Council at the Odessa Regional Administration, Serhiy Brachuk, said that the Ukrainian Special Services had conducted a successful special operation in Taganrog. Tonight, the Ukrainian Special Services carried out a successful operation with the use of UAVs and were struck by the PJSC Beriev Aircraft Company in the city of Taganrog, said Brachuk. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Remains of the drone in Taganrog from March 9th, 2024. A little bit of a grainy image, but if verifiable, very interesting that they were able to get that here for this article. Fascinating. Photo credits to Astra, apparently. Yep. Yeah, I love covering the news that isn't in the more mainstream stuff too, CF Beauty. Thank you very much for getting me these links and showing me some of this. It's fantastic. He noted that a large number of unmanned aircraft complexes with barrage ammunition had hit the shops of the plant and a fire had broken out. It is also reported that drones attacked Tagmet, a Taganrog metallurgical plant nearby, I'm assuming. And there's an image from Telegram, which for anyone unfamiliar is a rather popular... it originates from Russia, but it exists in a few different places. It's popular in Russia, Ukraine, Belarus. It's a social media platform used across the world, but especially in parts of Eastern Europe. And here is smoke rising from said metallurgical plant. As previously reported in February, Russians lost another A-50 airborne early warning and control aircraft in the sky over the Sea of Azov. Yep. So that's at the bottom of the sea now. All right. Next piece of news. I got a lot of news for you guys today. We're just gonna keep going, and then we'll do a little bit of a video update from Juzzy and go from there. Oh, also, before I forget, I have not opened it yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up the Q&A section. 1 second, everybody. Okay, and I'm back. Honestly, I've been too busy, so I haven't had a chance to run to the store and do so, but I was borrowing. Okay, the way I've got my setup, you guys can't see it, but like I have long arms, but I've got my microphone boom stand and my audio control panel, my console, like all away from my laptop so you guys don't hear the fan and everything. And I have to like stretch my arms out to reach my keyboard. So probably later today or tomorrow I'm gonna go get another wireless keyboard so I can actually do all this comfortably. All right, now then. Next piece of news. All right, some good news. Again from Militarny. Putting it in the chat. And in the description. All right. 102nd Territorial Defense Brigade repels assault in Zaporizhia region from March 8th, 2024. Soldiers of the 79th Separate Battalion of the 102nd Territorial Defense Brigade repelled a Russian assault in the Zaporizhia sector. Ukrainian journalist Yuri Butusov reported about this on his Telegram channel. The soldiers repelled the assault using remote mining, mortars, grenade launchers, FPV drones, and anti-tank weapons. According to the journalist, the Russians lost 1 tank, 5 armored personnel carriers, 1 UR-77 mine warfare vehicle, and several cars during the assault. Recently, on March 6, 2024, Militarny reported that the Ukrainian tank crews of the 54th Mechanized Brigade drove up close to the Russian invaders and knocked them out of the forest strip in the Kharkiv region. The battle took place northwest of the village of Orlianka, and the Russian infantry tried to gain a foothold in the forest of this area. To repel them, the Ukrainian military sent 2 tanks, which began shooting at the Russians with high explosive shells. As previously reported, soldiers of the 108th Separate Mountain Assault Battalion launched an assault on an enemy position and captured 2 POWs. During the assault in the Kupiansk sector, for anyone who's maybe unfamiliar or doesn't recall, Kupiansk is more in the northeast near Luhansk, which is currently either majority or completely under occupation, unfortunately, by the enemy forces. The Ukrainian fighters managed to capture 2 Russian invaders. Russian prisoners of war captured by the 108th Separate Mountain Assault Battalion. Picture seen here. Which should be okay to put on YouTube because these are people who are captured. So I don't think I have to worry about the video being taken down for anything war-related that YouTube doesn't like on their platform. One of the POWs with the call sign Shurup had previously served a 15-year prison sentence. In November 2023, to avoid further imprisonment, he signed a contract and joined the war against Ukraine. On March 5th, it was reported that Ukrainian troops successfully repelled a Russian armored assault near Novomikhailivka in the Donetsk region. Yeah, so again, another POW who had been serving a 15-year prison sentence. Now, it doesn't specify for what charges, because really, the way the laws are in Russia, it's hard to tell. Could be for anything horrible like murder or various types of heinous assault, or hell, with the way some of the prison sentences are set up now, it could be someone who did nothing other than just speak out against the war, and they got thrown in prison for it. But regardless, yeah, we are seeing this now. They're filling up the prisons and then they're emptying them out by sending people to Ukraine. It's a war crime. Russia commits war crimes not just against Ukrainians, but against their own people. And it is truly egregious and sickening. Now then, so in any case, overall, good news to see that they repelled the assault in the Zaporizhia region. And then I guess there was also a bit down here about Kupiansk as well, which is interesting because they start the report discussing the south and then they go all the way up to the northeast. But yeah, in any case, let's go on to the next article. All right, so France is negotiating the transfer of weapons from Arab countries to Ukraine. And we actually have more than one article covering France to go over, so let me go ahead and put these in the chat and description, and then we'll keep going. Okay, there we go. And also, actually, real fast, before we keep going, I'm going to just check chat and see if I missed any important comments or questions. Ooh, and thank you very much, CF Beauty, for helping out with a couple of the links that I don't have the bot automating just yet. Oh, yeah. Regarding those A-50s, a lot of the radar equipment was US made. Yeah. 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 Unfortunately, capitalism, and some of it maybe is corruption. And up. I just heard. Ooh, which one was it? I don't know which one. I still have the sound alerts up, so I know when someone does so, but I didn't catch the visual before it disappeared. It sounds like someone just donated on Buy Me a Coffee, and if so, thank you very much. Shoot. That's why unfortunately, that's why I have this message up, but it's covered right now while I'm doing the news. I should probably change that so it's like a bright red or something and you guys can see it all the time. Please be sure to donate via PayPal or Monobank before donating over Buy Me a Coffee right now. I mean, you can donate to the blue Buy Me a Coffee, which is the Tridents Against Tyrants, for supporting the channel. But I'm not promoting that right now until we've got the yellow Buy Me a Coffee figured out for Anton to get donations for soldiers through. Mostly because I'll feel bad doing so. Either we get the yellow Buy Me a Coffee fixed and then we have both of them up for everyone to decide to donate to, or if Buy Me a Coffee for some reason doesn't want to work with Anton, or I don't know, we might do a Ko-Fi, or we'll find another alternative. But yeah, regardless, whoever donated just now, thank you very much. We do appreciate it. And if you did donate to the yellow, I don't think that sound was the yellow. I think that was actually the blue. But anyone who has donated to the yellow, if we continue to have issues, I'm going to, out of my own pocket, donate the amount of money that we have stuck on the yellow Buy Me a Coffee for you guys. I'm going to do that to make sure that your donation gets to where it needs to go. So please, everybody, please don't put more on the yellow Buy Me a Coffee right now, because I don't want it to swell to like $1,000 and then I'm having to spend $1,000. Mostly just because I have my own bills to pay. All right, let's keep going. Oh, someone's asking where are the donation links? That's a very good question, actually. They are being posted in the chat. I usually also would have them. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, hold on a second. Are they not popping up right now? Nope, they might not be. Let me double check this. Let's see. Well, I guess it's not popping up right this second. All right, let's do this. Let's see if that works. There's something covering it. Shouldn't be. Okay. Well, I'll have to figure that out later, because I was more focused on putting the message up about Buy Me a Coffee being temporarily down and making sure those weren't up. Usually there's an extra little pop-up that'll come up, and one right now just says join Rick's, search YouTube for Rick the Ukrainian to find his YouTube channel. And another one is for the PayPal link and how to make that donation over PayPal. But for some reason, oh, that's very annoying. For some reason, it does not seem to be wanting to pop up right now, even though I have it turned on and visible. So, yeah. Even though you don't see it on screen, it is in the chat. Feel free to check the chat for where to find those links and how to donate over PayPal or Monobank. And I'll get this fixed for the next stream. All right. Anyway, on to the very next news, and then I'll maybe see about some questions if we have any. So, France is negotiating the transfer of weapons from Arab countries to Ukraine. France is negotiating with, and this is also from Militarny. France is negotiating with Arab countries to return the sold French weapons for further transfers to Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron announced this during a press conference. Macron said that his country would no longer supply shells and artillery systems to Qatar and Saudi Arabia in order to focus on supporting Ukraine. Ooh, that is a bold move. Qatar has recently had some diplomatic hits to its reputation after the corruption allegations. I think it was at the last World Cup, or was it the World Cup? It was a sporting event that was in Qatar, and I believe it was the World Cup. And Saudi Arabia, Saudi has a lot of stuff going on, but there's the war. Well, there's the continued hostilities with Yemen, but luckily that has not flared into anything too huge yet. So focus has remained on Israel, Palestine, and the potential of war in Lebanon right now in the Middle East, rather than renewed conflict in Yemen. Now then, instead, the French government is negotiating with these countries to withdraw the equipment they have supplied and send it to Ukraine. In addition, according to Macron, the governments of France, Germany, and Italy are also negotiating the return of weapons accumulated by Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, or UAE, and Saudi Arabia over the years. He emphasized that building up the French army's stockpile and deliveries to Ukraine would be a priority for France. Arsenals of the countries of the Middle East. Given Ukraine's urgent needs, it can be assumed that the main part of the negotiations is devoted to the stockpiles of artillery ammunition in the arsenals of Arab countries. Given the context, it is also possible that the talks will cover other types of weapons, including artillery systems. Saudi Arabia is armed with 156 Caesar self-propelled howitzers, as well as about 100 light 105mm LG-1 howitzers. And here's an example of a Caesar self-propelled howitzer of the Saudi Arabian army, which has a V on it. Don't know why it has a V on it. But in any case, Qatar has a smaller artillery fleet consisting of 24 obsolete French 155mm AMX F3 self-propelled guns and much more modern German PZH 2000 self-propelled howitzers. Honestly, Qatar's biggest problem is probably making sure their environment doesn't declare war on them before any other neighboring state. I remember there was that concern that there would be a digging out of part of the land that actually connects them to the rest of the Middle East and turn Qatar... Wait, was it Qatar or Bahrain? One or the other, turning them into like an island nation, basically. And it was like a weird geopolitical flex from one of the neighbors. And now I can't remember which country it was. That's going to bug me. But anyway, the UAE has almost no French artillery system, but has a stockpile of Scalp Storm Shadow cruise missiles, which were manufactured to meet export restrictions and supplied under the name Black Shaheen. And there's an example of the Black Shaheen cruise missile, produced by France. Oh, wait. Actually, it doesn't specify, but I think it's implied here that it's produced by France. Pronunciations. The Black Shaheen differs from the original missiles by having a reduced range of 290 kilometers to meet the requirements of the Missile Technology Control Regime. Interesting. Well, here's hoping that they can manage to negotiate and get some more of that artillery and that weaponry in general from Arab countries to transfer to Ukraine. That would be helpful. Some of it is a bit older, but some of it is more modern. So if you're wanting political brownie points, Qatar or Saudi Arabia, because you guys don't keep up with your militaries enough to actually repel the likes of, say, Iran or various other Arab supremacist or nationalist organizations and terrorist groups across the Middle East, maybe consider doing France a solid and getting that stuff to Ukraine. Yeah. Okay, so Ozzy is reminding me it was Qatar. KSA wanted to cut off mainly due to Al Jazeera. Oh, yeah. Anyone who's unfamiliar, the well-known news platform Al Jazeera, which has a very it's very interesting because there is definitely bias if you read certain articles from Al Jazeera that aren't exactly pro-Western. It's more like, there's the best way I can put it is there is a very interesting mix of people who write for Al Jazeera. Secularists, more religious people, pro-Western people, very not pro-Western people. And so you end up with an interesting mishmash of articles with a couple of different viewpoints. It almost becomes like geopolitical, just bingo. It just feels like, which writer am I getting today from Al? But yeah, they're based in Qatar, and they have fairly significant influence when it comes to opinions and general perceptions of matters in the Middle East and really just globally. So relatively influential news outlet. Now then, next article. Because we are at, all right, we're almost an hour in. Let's keep going. Let's see. Wait, Al Jazeera actually translates from Arabic. I knew that al was going to be the, just like el or la from Spanish. You've got that overlap that people don't realize with Latin languages. But Jazeera means island. That is a little hilarious, and I can see why that particular news article across multiple languages flared up a couple of years ago. That's okay. That's a little funny. All right, next article. I'm putting it in chat right now. One sec. All right, so next piece of news. Only the first tranche. The Czech Republic has not completed fundraising for 800,000 artillery shells. And it's very interesting because I don't know the veracity of it, but I was seeing another article earlier about 1 million shells that not by the Czech Republic, but that were being delivered by another country, reportedly. And if that's true, then that's fantastic. But let's read on about these 800,000 that Czechia was fundraising for. Despite the Czech president's statements, the international community has financed only a third of the 800,000 shells promised for Ukraine. Deník N reported on this with reference to Czech National Security Advisor Tomáš Požár, who coordinates the ammunition procurement project. Mr. President was probably talking about the first delivery. We have not yet covered the entire initiative, Tomáš Požár told reporters. Subsequently, the Prime Minister of the country, Petr Fiala, also confirmed the news about the unfinished project. So far, we have managed to raise enough money to purchase the first batch of 300,000 artillery shells, he wrote on his social media. Okay, so they're almost halfway there. So they've got the first 300,000 fundraised. Okay, that's still something. That's still good. A day earlier, on March 7th, Czech President Petr Pavel said that the initiative to purchase 800,000 artillery shells for Ukraine is fully funded. Okay, so he misspoke. Czech initiative to help Ukraine. President Pavel announced the possibility of purchasing artillery shells for Ukraine from third countries at the Munich Security Conference in mid-February. According to the Czech president, the country's representatives managed to find about 500,000 155mm artillery shells and 300,000 122mm shells abroad. Huh. Well, if it's 300,000 122mm shells, then I wonder if those are the 300,000 that they've managed to fundraise so far, or if it was a combination of the two. Interesting. The British newspaper Financial Times wrote that the total value of such contracts could be in the range of $1.5 billion US. Czech officials did not comment. Well, I'm going to assume that's US dollars. Czech officials did not comment on the value of potential deals. A Ukrainian artilleryman carries a 122mm shell for the 2S1 Gvozdika self-propelled howitzer at a position along the front line near Bakhmut on December 10th, 2022. Photo credit to Radio Svoboda. According to Tomasz Kopechny, government commissioner for the reconstruction of Ukraine, the delivery of ammunition to Ukraine will take several months. No, unacceptable. Like, you guys are in the EU. You guys are in NATO. Poland is in the EU. Poland is in NATO. So is Romania. Doesn't have to just be Poland. It should not be taking a couple of months. It should be taking 2 tops, in my opinion, if they're taking it seriously. 2 to 2.5. He emphasized that the money from the partners was promised, but it is not yet on the accounts of the entities that will purchase the ammunition. In addition, Kopechny also announced plans to expand the initiative, which will be announced after the first 800,000 artillery shells are financed. Quote, as soon as we manage to raise a larger amount of money, we will be talking not only about 800,000 shells, but about a much larger amount of ammunition that we can deliver. It regards not only the existing ammunition, but also about the ammunition that will be produced in the coming months and years, said Kopechny. So, okay. Not too bad. Good piece of news. And I do really hope that the rest of the fundraising for those remaining shells can be finished soon, and that they expedite the delivery, because bureaucracy is a killer right now, everybody. That's part of the reason why, even with our grassroots campaigns, sometimes things happen, get in the way, there are complications, but when I hear about something getting fundraised and then delivered within like a few days or a few weeks, maybe a month tops, it always makes me happy. I really wish we could see this more at the national level with these governments that are attempting to support Ukraine in this war, because we need to see that sped up. Now then, all right. Before we move on to the next article and then to Josie's video, let's see here. I'm going to check to see if we have any questions. Also, I'm going to double check something real fast. Yes. All right. Perfect. So if any of you notice that my volume isn't just constantly going up and down today, that is because not only do I have the better hardware now that I had been needing, but I actually managed to fix a freaking software bug that is built into Windows that had been causing my volume to go up and down constantly. And it didn't work the other day when I first applied it, but I guess it was because I needed to restart my device. Now it seems to be working, and I am extremely happy, and I hope it stays that way. Now then, questions. Oh, no questions yet. Okay. Well, that works for me. And then I'll just check the chat section real fast, and then we'll go on to the next article. Yeah, yep, you're right, Mitch. There is a difference between promised versus actual money that's been sent. And you can promise things all you want. You can give all the IOUs you want out, but until you've actually paid I know landlords don't appreciate IOUs. I don't think governments appreciate them either when they really need the resources. I know that I would not. Yana says, it's okay, I can laugh. Yeah. Yep. I agree, CF Beauty. Al Jazeera, they do have professional journalists. They do produce things and cite their sources. But I also always give a bit of a side eye, and that is because I'm not privy to the inner workings of Al Jazeera as a news agency. And half the time, it feels like there's people working there who legitimately have a desire to bring the Middle East as a whole closer to the West and secular democratic values. And half the time, it feels like, I don't know, fluff pieces, pandering, give the West what they want so they keep doing business with us. Maybe that sounds a little jaded of me, but whenever I read Al Jazeera, that's how I feel about some of the articles that I see. Of course, they do also cover things that the West just does not, that are important. Like, they cover certain stories that really are important that no one else wants to touch. So it's a mixed bag. You know, there's good and there's bad with Al Jazeera. The RT of Arabia. Yeah, in certain ways. Yeah, potentially. Okay, well, I don't see any questions, so we'll keep going. Oh, here we go. Oh, good. My sound is really good today. Perfect. And that means that I finally fixed that annoying audio bug that's been probably going on for like 2 months now because of one stupid checkbox that Windows doesn't make obvious to find. Ronnie, I hear Moscow Mike is being moved to put a bill on the House floor, making it into a loan. Regarding the funds for Ukraine? Yeah, that would really suck. I mean, a loan would be better than nothing. The real question is the terms of the loan. And I don't trust Mike Johnson or any other MAGA Republicans at all to make those terms and conditions reasonable or fair for Ukraine. I could see crazy interest rates, or I could see, you know, a delayed delivery or piecemeal delivery, that sort of thing as conditions of a loan. Making it a loan gives a lot of leeway for more bureaucratic red tape about terms and conditions that have to be met for the loan. So I also am wary of that. All right, let's see here. Next article. Oh, and I probably should have done this earlier with the other one article about France, but we're going to revisit France again now. So let's put this up. All right. It did not generate correctly. Hold on. Okay, so that's in the chat now. Let me Make sure the article loads correctly. Here we go. Moving back to France, France plans to produce weapons on Ukrainian soil. March 8th, 2024. Production of Caesar self-propelled guns at the Nexter Systems Enterprise. October 2023. Well, look at that first photo, didn't show up. Instead, here's hulls of 155mm projectiles produced by Forge de Trabe. Photo credit to Rémi Benoit. Very nice. And I'm guessing these are produced by France in Ukraine, which is actually fantastic because we do want to see more domestic Ukrainian production that is owned and operated by Ukrainians. But remember, Ukraine is looking not to be isolationist, but to be independent, to be capable and well capable of producing what it needs for this war and for future defense of its country, but also to integrate into the EU and NATO as a whole. So seeing these initiatives helps to bring Ukraine closer to that, which is fantastic to see. France is planning to have some of its arms manufacturers producing military equipment on Ukrainian soil. Reuters reported on this. Military production should take place on Ukrainian soil, as this will help to deploy the appropriate number of enterprises and attract a large number of specialists. In addition, the production of weapons directly on Ukrainian soil will help to better count the Russian threat. Three French companies will be setting up partnerships with Ukrainian companies, in particular in the drone and land equipment sectors, to produce spare parts on Ukrainian soil, and perhaps ammunition in the future, Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu said. He also noted that the first production facilities were scheduled to start operating this summer. Prompt deployment will help armed forces of Ukraine to resist Russian aggression. The idea is to have the first production units running this summer, he said. Lecornu hinted the companies involved would include tank maker KNDS, the holding structure formed by France's Nexter and Germany's Klaus Maffei Wegmann. All right, fantastic. So there's a couple of companies' names that you can all go look up if you like, and really analyze how supportive they seem to be of doing business with Ukraine. This sounds very positive. So here's a picture of a TRF-1 155mm howitzer of the French military, 2013, USA. Photo credits to the U.S. Department of Defense. Oh, there we go. Hoorah. In general, France has big plans to deploy arms production in Ukraine, which has received a lot of positive feedback from Ukrainian defenders. As Militarny previously reported, the governments of Ukraine and France signed a bilateral agreement on security cooperation that provides for the allocation of 3 billion euros within military aid during 2024, which is good. This is good. We do need to see tens of billions flowing into Ukraine, but every country contributing what they can, it all counts. And again, we need to see larger amounts, but we also can't see countries destabilize themselves domestically in order to make that a reality. With that being said, I don't think that a few more billion would really put that much pressure on Germany or France, and definitely not on the US. So let's hope that we see someone announce at least 10 billion sometime soon. In general, but again, fantastic work. Thank you very much, France. In general, the agreement provides Ukraine with security assistance and modern military equipment across the land, air, sea, space, and cyber domains. Air defense, artillery, long-range weapons, armored vehicles, increasing the capabilities of the Air Force, and other key capabilities are defined as priorities for military aid. So, yeah, this is very good news. Again, big thanks to France, who had been getting a bit of criticism the last couple of months about not doing more. And Germany was getting a lot of and Germany and the UK were both getting quite a bit of more fanfare or a bit more recognition. Now France is really upping their game. At least there's a lot more articles covering pro-Ukrainian moves by France in the military domain. So hopefully we see this trend continue, and we see it continue across multiple European countries. Now then. All right. Well, for right now, that'll cover most of the news articles that we've got ready. So let's go ahead and see about moving over to take a listen to what's happening at the front lines with Juzzy. How does that sound, everybody? All right. Let's see. All right. So this will be from day 743, the Ukrainian war map. And as you can see in this opening cartoon sketch, Vladimir Putin in his little cardboard castle with his faceless generals. Victory Day, May of 2024. This is what can be predicted to be seen. Cardboard cutouts, injured soldiers on crutches, trying to keep the overlord happy. This, with the amount of losses the Russians have had, I remember last year in 2023, the victory parade was a bit underwhelming, or it was reported as being a bit underwhelming compared to what people were used to seeing from previous years. So I guess we'll see how it looks this year. Let's see what happens in the next 2 months, everybody. All right.
Day 700.
Up? Oh, no way. Hold on. I'm checking something.
And 43 of the Ukrainian war map, also known.
Okay, so I think you guys should be able to hear it. On my end, there's another annoying little bug where the audio is coming in through my regular speakers instead of my headphones, which annoys me because of the potential for a feedback loop. But I can't fix it unless I restart OBS, which then, of course, would kill the stream. If you guys can hear it and it sounds good, just let me know, because it shouldn't make a difference. As long as I'm on mute, you guys shouldn't hear any feedback loop. So give me a plus if you're able to hear Juzzy. It looks like it. I see at least one person. I see KK's GG saying that Juzzy always sounds so animated when he first comes on. Okay, and I see pluses. Okay, perfect. No echo? Perfect. Okay, then let's keep going.
Day 743 of the Ukrainian war map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So starting off, we'll take a look at those Russian losses, as currently Russia sits on more than 422,000 military personnel losses, which represents an additional 880 in the past 24 hours. Then as for hardware...
Just going to pause it to comment on the fact that I know I say this a lot whenever these numbers show up on Juzzy's videos, but just look at this, everybody. Within the next few months, this number will be hitting 500,000 eliminated Russian personnel. 500,000. And before this war is over, I don't know if it will reach 1 million or more, but it's going to get close, I'm pretty sure. So, like, just let that sink in. I know that may not be a huge number compared to some previous major engagements in Europe either of the world wars, for example. But for any other modern conflict, that's pretty staggering. Anyway, let's continue.
Losses 11 tanks, 19 APVs, 25 artillery, and a pretty insanely whopping 66 non-armored vehicles, which is almost exclusively due to Ukrainian quadcopters scouting some distance behind enemy lines, ready to drop their payload on as many trucks or Russian Buhanka Scooby-Doo vans as they possibly can. And I do believe 66 is a record, and possibly due to Ukraine's increased drone production per month. Then we'll head across to the map today and we'll start out in Russia as a fire erupted at a Russian tank crew training academy in Kazan. Now, this incident was said to happen all of a sudden and is catching of our attention due to the location's military significance. Early reports suggest faulty electrical wiring as the likely cause, but we have heard that official regional government excuse or line of reasoning before. And
Yeah, no, I don't think it was just wiring.
this fire follows a previous explosion at the same location from just last year, thereby underscoring some pretty significant safety challenges. Although, due to the ridiculously common nature of these types of events occurring at military sites all over Russia, it's reasonable to suspect foul play, such as local partisans or possibly, just as likely in this case, some battle tank trainee conscripts looking to slow down their training and therefore their deployment to Ukraine. We've seen bigger acts of mutiny before. Then, also in Russia, another incident has occurred with a drone strike at Sevastopol in Chepovets. So, moving across on the map here, which is directly north of Moscow, quite high up there. In fact, if I grab the ruler, we'll take a quick look, and Moscow to Chepovets, yeah, about 400 kilometers or roughly 250 miles. So for this one, according to reports, Ukrainian drones ventured about 850 kilometers into Russian territory to target these Sevastopol facilities, which is a Russian company that is recognized as Russia's largest steel producer, and is also the location of their HQ. And this now marks the third significant steel plant in Russia to come under drone attack.
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing, definitely seeing, this isn't going to stop anytime soon. We've been hearing it for months. We've been hearing it for honestly, since this war began, but much more especially in the last year and a half. Year and a half. These steel plants, these tank facilities, these different factories that produce parts and do repairs on expensive, specialized military aircraft for the Russian Federation, it's not going to stop. You know, if Russia thinks that Ukraine's border is porous, just look at Russia's border. Everywhere, all across this giant, poorly funded, rather authoritarian nation that is mistreating many of its own people. This won't end until Moscovia gets the hell out of Ukraine, all of Ukraine, including Crimea.
As previously, metallurgical facilities in Lipetsk and Kursk regions were also hit. Gotta get those steel plants, gotta catch them all, and Ukraine is clearly demonstrating its resolve in targeting not just military sites, but military adjacent sites as well, like these ones. Meanwhile, Russia has wasted so much of their time and resources targeting grain silos and buildings of a clearly non-military nature. Oh, and speaking of the grain silos, Putin thought he pulled the ultimate 4D chess move in mid-2023 by backing out of the Black Sea Safe Passage grain deal. But the grain kept shipping at record levels out of Ukraine in January of just this year. But Putin's ego got the best of him as he instructed his generals to wastefully target these sites ever since with limited success. Then we'll head across into the Ukrainian map today, into the northern Donbass and Kharkiv, as there's no direct engagements between the armies as current, although Ukrainian soldiers in Kupiansk have noted that they are preparing for the potential of a big attack. With Russia, for the meanwhile, in this zone, not doing much other than going somewhat heavy on their artillery usage, but yeah, really nothing much else. Then we'll head south to the town of Chasiv Yar, just west of Bakhmut, which remains perhaps the nearest tactical objective anywhere in Ukraine's east for Russia to capture.
Oh, just want to stop for 1 sec. I noticed a question here in chat from Ozzy Bugga. I do wonder why Ukraine uses drones so much. Obviously, I am missing something, but wouldn't agents planting bombs or setting things on fire be easier to damage Russian infrastructure? My answer to that would be it's a little bit of both. I mean, honestly, I mean, just think of it like this. To set a bomb, to have an explosive go off, do anything like that, having someone do it clandestinely deep within enemy territory, yeah, of course, but you also have to worry about your own people being captured. You have to worry about your agents being taken into enemy custody and what could happen to them and what information could be leaked. Of course, you always do planning ahead of time for anything like that, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that Russia is huge, and despite everything that they're trying to do in Ukraine, they don't seem to be doing a lot for their own domestic anti-drone protections, or at least not anywhere near enough. There's just kind of this, we know something's going to happen, but we've got too many other things that we need to take care of, so can't protect everything. And that's a major plus for Ukrainians, because if you send in a drone and you accomplish your mission, and the drone either is set to destroy itself, or you actually manage to get it back and escape out of Russia without being captured, then a drone is like what? These small ones, like $500, $600. The amount of money and time and training that goes into getting an operative fully trained, it's a lot more than $500 or $600, everybody. And of course, more importantly, you don't want to lose your effective and loyal men and women serving behind enemy lines to get this kind of stuff done. Back to the front lines in Ukraine. And thank you for a good question.
And as such, really their biggest focus in this Central East region. And as current, the Russian troops keep attacking to widen control near Bakhmut. Having said that, the taking of Chasiv Yar by the Russian army is a fairly ambitious choice for them, given the fact that it's on the west side of the canal, which runs all the way north and south. I might zoom in because you can see it a lot better running up and down there. And although many analysts and military think tanks alike consider the potential for a large Russian assault attempt to take the town, capture of the town itself is still seen as unlikely. Not to mention, to achieve this goal, Russia would need to come at it from all angles, including taking back this massive green liberated zone that they lost to Ukrainian hands last year. So yes, they'd have their work cut out for them. Then to the Avdiivka axis, as it's fortification time for the Ukrainian forces as they are digging in around this zone.
Oh, I just want to take a second to comment on this. First, very good to see that fortifications are taking place. We're going to listen more in just a second. But look at the map right here, guys. Look at Avdiivka, and then everything to the west of Avdiivka that now sadly is occupied. And that city, that town had held for a decade, damn near a decade, guys, since the war first started back in the hot war, the live ammunition war back in 2014. So very sad to see. And the appropriate measures being taken now to solidly reinforce things and prevent any further incursions from the enemy, that is crucial. All right, let's keep going.
Creating trenches and anti-tank ditches, aiming to mirror Russian defenses that previously hindered Ukraine's advances. And one such Russian military blogger from the region questions any occasional excitement coming from the Russian forces stationed in this region, as he notes that the region is heavily defended by Ukrainian FPVs, which could in fact have been Ukraine's saving grace at the moment for this location with stalled Russian efforts in this sector, given Ukraine's lack of artillery shell supplies as current. Then moving south to Novo-Mikhailivka again, as Ukrainian forces disrupted an enemy assault, destroying 12 armoured vehicles in the process. Footage captured the initial enemy approach in several columns, followed by the damage inflicted on their equipment alongside their thwarted offensives. Then, somewhere in the east, a Russian BTR armoured personnel carrier was spotted in a ditch next to a Russian BMP turret, with the actual BMP itself nowhere to be seen. Then, also in the east, we saw the decidedly massive destruction of a Russian BMP-3, which was evidently carrying more armaments than it bargained for. And
Well, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm trying to determine how large of an explosion was this? How many kilometers? How many feet in the air was this? Because that does look like a large explosion. Like a tiny little mushroom cloud. Wow. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just wanted to comment on that because that seems pretty impressive.
now that I think about it, it's genuinely possible that that's where the BMP turret from the previous photo went to. At least it's not an impossibility. Then we'll head to the central south region, with Russian forces once again stepping up their offensives near Robotina, and it's a key location for both sides, as it's a location near to major roads that lead to Russian-held areas. So if you zoom out, you can see some of those roads, and of course, say Tokmak, Melitopol, and various others. But as of right now, this frontline sector is a fierce combat zone, with Russian forces actively attempting to surround Robotina, as it should be stated that Russian armed forces launch generally around 3 to 5 attacks daily at this location, but at the moment, they've intensified their efforts with 16 assaults reported in just the one day. Having said all that, despite these increased attacks, Ukraine's armed forces confirmed all were repelled. Then moving further south for a moment, as far as the Black Sea is concerned. So 2 Russian telegrammers commented on the situation recently, basically with the admission that Russia lost the Black Sea and suggested removing all Russian ships from the Black Sea. But it's arguably still a target-rich environment for Ukraine's naval drone operators at the moment, because although many Russian naval vessels are tucked away with some level of protection at faraway ports in the Black Sea, Ukrainian forces undoubtedly are planning their next mission for the region. Then heading across to some news.
Really quickly, I want to go back and take a look. Well, first of all, I love this bingo card. Second of all, I'm noticing, so you'll see here the little green dot, and I'm fairly certain that should be Snake Island, and then this little red X here. Now, the island is liberated, and that was a long time ago. This in the middle, I'm assuming that's still held by enemy forces. but I don't know what the landmass is actually. If anyone happens to know, let me know in the chat. That red X right there to the east of Snake Island, the famous place where the soldier reportedly flipped off the Russian warship and said, "A Russian warship, go fuck yourself." Like, if anyone knows, please let me know in chat. Let's continue. And it might be something that's been discussed before that I'm just not remembering at the moment.
Protection at faraway ports in the...
Oh, the X marks where Muscovy sank. Ah, okay. So then that is a positive. That's a victory mark of Ukraine where the Muscovy the ship sank. Okay. Well then in that case, yeah, that does clearly indicate that Russia does not have control of the Black Sea. So no, please keep sending your ships. Please keep sending your ships. Your multi-billion ruble, your multi-million-dollar ships, Russia. I'm sure you don't need them. I'm sure you don't want them. I'm sure that you don't have any other maritime concerns with other countries away from Ukraine that you would need those ships for. Just, nah, go ahead. Keep doing it. I'm loving seeing all these ships sink. But in actuality, take all your ships and all your soldiers and get the fuck out of Ukraine.
Concerned. So 2 Russian telegrammers commented on the situation recently, basically with the admission that Russia lost the Black Sea and suggested removing all Russian ships from the Black Sea. But it's arguably still a target-rich environment for Ukraine's naval drone operators at the moment, because although many Russian naval vessels are tucked away with some level of protection at faraway ports in the Black Sea, Ukrainian forces undoubtedly are planning their next mission for the region. Then heading across to some news for today. So the European Union continues to take a sober assessment of the situation they face right next door, as the EU's new defense plan aims to boost European military purchases, but also that the European Union will aim to make as much of half of its defense system purchases within the EU, which is reversing a trend of buying an otherwise vast majority of its military equipment from further abroad. And this obviously makes good economic sense, because if the EU is going to be spending big in this arena, then they may as well devote a lot of the funds to local production, which in turn is effectively a form of economic stimulus on the local front. Then
I will say this, Canadians, North Americans, there's been a certain group of people who have said that Europe needs to do this and needs to do their own defense spending. And I do believe this is true. Definitely should not be relying on other nations overseas just because they have less tense potential conflict zones on their borders. Relying on others from continents half the world away for your own defense is probably not a good idea long term. Now, if this continues and the EU and other European NATO nations continue to ramp up their own domestic production and cooperation, I'll be honest, I will laugh if in the next 10 to 20 years, if that trend continues, whether we have Americans invested in the defense industry, military industrial complex of the US crying, no, wait, we didn't actually want that. Please buy our stuff again. Please, our economy could use it. I don't think so. There's plenty of places to sell to. And of course, there would still be trade between the two continents, the US, Canada, and the rest of NATO and EU as a whole. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how things continue. I hope this trend keeps up.
Some more news. Bulgaria is taking out of conservation Its 122mm Vozdika self-propelled howitzers and a number of other Soviet stock armoured vehicles to send to Ukraine. And you will notice from time to time Bulgaria seems to send a bit of military equipment aid to Ukraine, which is not surprising when you remember that it is in fact one of the 7 nations of the Black Sea located just south of Romania and northwest of Turkey. Then in some other news, the Ukrainian Presidential Office shared the news of yesterday's delegation from China, led by their envoy for Eurasian Affairs, by Li Hu, that visited Ukraine. Now, these visitors were said to be briefed on the frontline conditions and shown debris from a North Korean missile downed in combat deployed by Russia against Ukraine. And it was also noted that Li Hu engaged with Andriy Yermak, head of the presidential administration, and Dmytro Kuleba, the Ukrainian foreign minister, to discuss Ukraine's strategy for peace. Now, take this news with a bit of a grain of salt, if you will, as I certainly do, as the choices China makes on this conflict are ultimately determined solely by the big guy at the top, and in this case I refer to the other big guy at the top, Xi Jinping. But any Chinese delegation coming to Ukraine is always a start in the right direction, as ultimately the country with the most influence on Russia, diplomatically speaking of course, is China, who is Russia's biggest trade partner by a magic mile, and could, if they wanted to, use this leverage on Russia to exert their influence. But for that to happen, the collective West would need to exert its own influence on China. Then in some other...
To build on top of that, I really do hope the collective West does exert more influence on China, because I would not be keen on seeing... I do want Ukraine to get any help that it needs to end this horrible war so everyone in Ukraine can be safe, Russia gets out, and Ukraine joins the EU and NATO. But also, I have friends in Taiwan and in other neighboring nations of China. I don't know if anyone's heard about the recent drama between Chinese incursions into Bhutan, which has effectively no realistic military anyway. So, yeah, I don't like the idea of one authoritarian power trying to broker a deal and then ask Ukraine, the US, other Western nations to just turn a blind eye when they start doing the kinds of things that Russia is doing. But that being said, any pressure against Russia, anything that's bad for Russia, is a good sign for Ukraine, and I applaud that.
Other news, some other big news. So Sweden has now officially joined NATO as its newest member, marking an end to over 200 years of neutrality. With this addition, NATO now includes 32 countries. As such, Sweden is now joining the world's largest military alliance and also bolstering NATO's military ranks. And perhaps just as importantly, this alliance thrives not just on military might, but on shared democratic values and rule of law, resisting coercion by any force or foe. Then in some more news, General Zaluzhny, once at the helm of Ukraine's military forces...
Oh, hold on a sec, I didn't get a chance to read that. We're attacking Ukraine so you can't take on another member. You know what? I'm going to take on 2 new members. Yeah. All right. Very good. Very good.
Resisting coercion by any force or foe. Then in some more news, General Zaluzhny, once at the helm of Ukraine's military forces, now steps into a new role as Ukraine's ambassador to the UK. This move, greenlit by President Zelensky, marks a pivotal shift in Zaluzhny's career following his former leadership in the battle against Russia. And to give a very brief recent history on this front, President Zelensky has already nominated General Syrskyi as the new commander of the armed forces of Ukraine, the chief commander. A decision that followed speculation of internal discord amongst their ranks. But as it turns out, Zelensky felt that he needed to take on a new role after his long and extensive leadership efforts in the fight against Russian aggression. Now, if this were Russia, Zelensky would be looking down the barrel of a gun or a window or tea. But not in Ukraine. They clearly do things differently there. Then headed across to a quick funny to round it all off with today, guys, and more of an oddity, really, that doesn't completely fit within any segment. But here we go anyway. So a few days ago, Ukrainian forces spotted a Russian APC in the field. This one was near Klishchivka, noting that there were dummies in uniforms on the top of the vehicle. And so the backstory to this incident is said to be one of very low morale for the Russian forces, because reportedly the Russian commander requires his infantry to drive, but there is no infantry that wants to drive due to the fact that their behinds have been getting kicked several days in a row now in this particular region at the time of recording. And so what do? They planted dummies for the command to make it look like the infantry was driving, but also with some reported speculation to show or prove to lower ranked commanders that it is simply a death wish to go out to the grey zones or contact points because you'll get picked off one by one. So this here is, well, you're looking at the very finest professionalism and high morale of the 21st century Russian army.
I'm sorry, but that shit's funny. I mean, imagine it just being so bad and you just caring so little that you just put together a little straw doll out of whatever you can and throw it on top of the tank and say, good enough. Damn. Obviously, there could be another story behind this. Maybe training exercises of some sort, but I just like to think that there was some Russian soldier, some group of soldiers out there who were like, you know what? To hell with this. Let's go, I don't know, drink what little vodka we've got left over somewhere in the woods and just leave this fucking thing here. Oh, God. All right, let's finish this out.
So if you want to join them, now's your chance, because they will literally let you join no matter who you are. So thanks again for watching, guys. Please continue to like and comment. I do appreciate it all, everything and more, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.
As usual, everybody, please be sure to go like and subscribe to Jesse's channel, Ukraine News TV. And I just realized I didn't do this before, so I'm going to put that link in the chat and the description right now. All right. So, all right. And we're about an hour and 45 minutes in now, just about. We're going to finish up before too long. I do have something that I want to show you guys right quick before we finish the stream. So I'm going to pull it up. Before I do that, I'm going to check to see if we have any questions. And let's also pull up the fundraiser. Ooh, so I don't see any donations that have gone through so far on PayPal, so or Monobank. So yeah, guys, I know that Buy Me a Coffee is down, but if you are able to, please feel free to donate over PayPal or Monobank. Those links are in the chat. For right now, hold on, let me check something. Since for some reason these extra messages aren't popping up on the screen. Let's see. Well, we'll get that figured out later. In any case, yeah, if anyone does want to donate, please feel free to. It will be going to the 110th Mechanized Brigade, who are still fighting. And right now, I've got something to show you from the 110th Mechanized Brigade. So we're going to pull that up right now. All right, so this is something that I recently received from Anton, and this is in Ukrainian, but it is music, so we're going to listen to it. Unfortunately, I don't believe it has any English captions or subtitles, but this is, as you will see momentarily, a video from the 110th Mechanized Brigade. Yesterday was a couple things. Yesterday was another milestone on the accession of Sweden officially into NATO. And yesterday was also the anniversary of the creation of the 110th Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. So yesterday there was a presentation of the anthem of the brigade, which is written and performed by a band from Ukraine known as Teen Sonsia. The name of the band translates as Shadow of the Sun. And we're going to take a listen to this. I have to set it up properly in the software, so let me get that pulled up right now.
Tired of weak and boring lighters? Meet this new incredible fire torch.
Damn, can't turn ads off. Sorry. One sec while I get that set up. All right, here we go. And I'm actually gonna leave the progress bar up, everybody, because that progress bar is directly related to this brigade, who we are going to listen to right now. All right, well, let's go.
Дніпром скипає лють, степ козацький знає путь України, горда суть за свободу і за честь, за життя, що нищить смерть. 110-та йде у бій, міць душі тримає стрій в час тривожної імли. Ми постали, ми змогли, стать звитяги пронесли, йтимем далі, як ішли, за свободу і за честь, за життя, що нищить смерть. 110-та йде у бій, міць душі тримає стрій. Зачекався рідний Крим, за свободу і за честь, за життя, що нищить смерть. 110-та йде у бій, міць душі тримає стрій, за свободу і за честь, за життя, що нищить смерть. 110-та йде у бій, міць душі тримає стрій.
Slava Ukraini. And that, which I was very happy to see, because I've been hoping that we would see a little more web presence from the 110th Mechanized Brigade, like a few other brigades and regiments, is something that I hope all of you, I know that I found it not only enjoyable, but inspiring. So thank you to every single soldier of the 110th Mechanized Brigade for doing all that you do, defending Ukraine, defending Europe, and defending the entire world from an expanded war. You all have my respect. And, well, since no one, there might have been donations if Anton, because it's late there, has not seen them yet. So I'm going to make a donation myself. And if there are donations on PayPal that anyone has made that I have missed, then as soon as Anton gets those transferred over, we're going to make a post, as we always do, with the update for the fundraiser. But I'm going to go ahead and make a donation myself right quick before we close out the stream, everybody. All right, let's see here. Send to Anton. All right, and that has just now been sent. All right, everybody. With that, let me just check and see if we have any more questions that have come in before we finish. I see only one question, and so I'll answer this real fast. Do you think Western politicians are noticing all the crowdfunding in support of Ukraine? question from Mitch Ashdown. Thanks for the question, Mitch. And yes, I do believe that they do. I think not just politicians, but government agencies from various countries track that as a metric regarding support for Ukraine and what their own foreign policy should be on the topic of the war. I do think it makes a difference. I think they pay attention to organizations, YouTube channels, individuals. I mean, it's all information. It's all important information to know who is supporting Ukraine and for what reasons, and in the opposite direction, who is showing support to Russia and for what reasons. And tracking all of that information. Let me say this: if governments who are actually invested in this war aren't paying attention to the grassroots efforts on both sides, making a note of it and tracking information and people related to both, then I would slap them, because look, that's obvious information to be tracking, in my opinion. And it's a very good question, because some of us might be wondering, is anyone paying attention? Does anyone care about what we're doing to try to help Ukraine? And I do believe the answer is yes, because there are plenty of other events happening in the world, and that have happened in the world, that I'm aware had plenty of attention paid to them by various government agencies in the US and Canada alone. So, yeah, I do think it makes a difference. So we got to keep doing what we're doing, stay the course, and support Ukraine. All right. Hey, thank you for making a donation, CF Beauty. Oh, and I do see it going up. So, all right, we went from 24,000 something to 25,235.45. So, I'm guessing that means Anton is awake. And unless that's from a donation that went through directly on Monobank, because I can't see that from here. But yeah, thank you to everybody who donated. All right. And with that, we're going to close out now, everybody. Thank you for coming. Please like and share this video so we can get it out to as many people as possible. If you want to keep up with what we're doing here at Tridents Against Tyrants, feel free to subscribe. Be sure to catch the shills, the Ukraine report with the shills. That'll be starting here in should be in about 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours. So please be sure to join us there. And as a matter of fact, just to segue into that, for all of you here, and for anyone who doesn't know who or what the shills are, because maybe you're new in the chat, I'm gonna post a link to our live stream here in about 2 hours. And I'll be on today. I believe Starsky will, as well as Greg Terry, and Pete from Project Constantine. So, everyone's schedule is different. We all have stuff that keep us busy. So, hopefully all of us will be there. But I will definitely be there. So please feel free to join us. And I'm posting that right now. All right, everybody. And that is the end of our report for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being the kind of people who care about and support Ukraine. I see another donation. We went up. Now we're at 29,049, 29,049.45 hryvnia. Thank you very much. We will continue to fundraise. We will continue to go until we get all 110 of those FPV drones financed, and we will keep bringing you updates as we do every week. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. And I see. Okay. Quick update for the shills. Yana will be joining us. It seems that Pete is going to be busy, but Yana will be there. Yana is fantastic. She was here on Tridents just yesterday, actually. We had a fantastic stream together. Very smart, very intelligent, very well-informed young woman and volunteer with Project Constantine. She does a lot for Project Constantine, guys. So tune in and join us. All right, see you all then. Have a great day, and Slava Ukraini.